Thokozani Royals, Thokozani family, Thokozani family. Please tap the screen as you come on. Oh, I see some regulars. Thokozani family. Please tap the screen as you come on. How is oh, good. That means you can hear me. Thokozani, Grand Rising, my baby. Grand Rising. I know you're in South Africa for you to be Grand Rising me at this time. Grand Rising. Good evening to those who are in the Northern Hemisphere. Muribwanji. For those in the Southern, Ninjani, Tobela, Tamagwini, Jambo, Nangadev. Ninjani, Kwaziwai. I think I've greeted in all the languages that we all gather here. Thokozani family, Thokozani. I am actually here to answer any questions you might have. This is a test live to see if TikTok Studio will allow me at the end of all this to download this and upload it to where I usually upload my content, which is on YouTube. So I'm doing a test before I launch into a new series of conversations where we will be talking in depth about melanin, the divine molecule, the molecule that gives you your divinity, the molecule that gives you the ability to access Akashic records from the sun, Ura. So I don't want to get into that now, although I'm super excited about this series. It's going to be pretty long. Most of you think of melanin as this molecule that just gives you your beautiful skin tone. However, melanin is way deeper than that. And we'll be going into the different aspects of melanin, the different functions. There are over 50 functions so far that I know of. And I wanted to test to make sure that before I teach a lesson that I can't download and then just end up having to repeat it. There's nothing worse than repetition for someone like me, because usually when I teach, I allow spirit to come and sort of add to the facts that I'll be giving. So a lot of the times, once it's downloaded, it's downloaded. I can never go back and redo a teaching the exact same way that I did it when I was told to do it. So I just thought I'd come and ask anybody who has any general spiritual questions. Do ask away in the comment section, and I'm happy to answer those. Probably be here for about 30 to 45 minutes to see if there are any questions that people may be asking about, all things spiritual, really. And then we can take it from there. Thokozani, I see some of my ancestrally gifted fellow healers. Tamagwini, Makosi, Makosini. Please do ask questions, because I like I said, I have to hold myself from launching into the melanin, because I want to share with you guys the melanin. And, part of the reason I want to teach this is, a lot of you don't know this about me, but I'm a trained medical biochemist, meaning that I have studied the function of a lot of these molecules in great detail. And this, of course, was prior to me knowing anything about being ancestrally gifted. But then Spirit knows when something is your destiny, sometimes there are steps that you take without you even knowing why you're taking them. That may not even make sense at the time. And then you find yourself in a space and a time and a place where all that experience and all that knowledge comes to bear. So please ask questions. There's a good number of you over here, like a really good number of you. Please do ask the questions. So I can assist where I can. What you can't do, though, is you can't ask me about your dreams. You should never write your dreams on social media platforms. I've given that warning before. A dream is a divine message most of the time, and it requires to be held in a sacred manner. So you cannot ask me for a dream interpretation, because I would be breaching that sacredness by then sharing your business right here, which is why you will never ever see me do an online consultation. Not because I can't do it, but because the way my guides and my ancestors work is, it is a breach of privacy and a breach of our ethics as healers to do such things. Perhaps other people's ancestors allow them to do that. Mine certainly won't. And I have very active ancestors that if I were to attempt to do something like that, my phone would probably just go off. Or I would be hit with such a headache, I may just leave here screaming. So, firstly, we're so grateful for your guides' teachings. Thank you. Thokozeni, humbled. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for validating the work and for validating the calling. I really appreciate that. I don't see any questions, family. Really? Most times I come here and I'm like, and I see a whole bunch of questions flying in, and I have to ignore them so that, I allow what needs to happen. And I'm over here right now. I'm like, questions, ask me something. I really don't see any questions. Let me scroll here, going all the way down. I still don't see questions. Guys, family, seriously? No question at all. Let's see. Nothing. So what are we going to talk about, guys? I don't want to talk about current affairs, even though there's always a spiritual... Oh, here it is. What state am I in? I'm in the state of Michigan. Okay, here's a question. Morning, Gogo. Ever since I was young, I've always had this eczema on my skin. Ever since you were born. Okay, so here's what comes to mind very quickly. I know that one thing that really deals with eczema as a topical is pure shea butter with no additives. So just 100% shea butter. You put your shea butter on moist skin. Why just the same way as when you put your cream or your lotion, your skin or oil, your skin has to be damp, right? Your skin has to be damp. So then when you put it, remember that the skin is porous, the skin eats. That's why a lot of topical things that you put on your skin can end up making you sick if they have a lot of harmful chemicals in them, right? So try that. Also, eczema might be a sign that you have parasites, right? So you want to probably do a 2-week parasite cleanse. There are many different cleanses out there. I would go the natural way with the parasite cleansing. The fruit pawpaw. Pawpaw has these seeds, pawpaw papaya. The seeds themselves are very strong anti-parasitic. So you can buy a whole pawpaw. What I do every time I eat a pawpaw or papaya, which I do quite often, is I would literally, yes, unrefined raw shea butter is what you want to look for. None of the processed stuff. It has a very woody smell. It's very natural. Usually just comes like as a block. I have it. So if you're interested in it, because I spin it and I add protection things, but I do have the raw one for you. But back to the parasite cleanse. When you get your papaya and you're eating it, don't throw the seeds away, right? Whatever you do, don't chew. Those seeds are bitter. You take maybe a teaspoonful. I've got a teaspoon here for my herbs. You take a teaspoonful and you swallow it and carry on eating your pawpaw. Now, you want to do this first thing in the morning. Fruit is always best eaten first thing in the morning on an empty stomach before you put anything else. You drink your water and then you do your fruit. That's when I do this, because Then the chemical or the compound that's in the pawpaw seeds that kills parasites and that paralyzes them is easily absorbed. There's no food there, right? So I eat a little bit of pawpaw and I take another spoonful. Look, you can do up to 3 or 4 spoonfuls of the seeds and then go about your day. You want to do this for 2 weeks, right? Every single morning for 2 weeks. Most people who are showing signs of eczema, it's usually because they have parasites in their bodies. And these parasites can leave the digestive system depending on what worm it is and find themselves in the epidermis or in the skin. How do they leave your gut? Some of them are small enough. That's why I said it's the small ones that can penetrate your blood capillaries or your blood vessels and find themselves in your bloodstream. And then they settle or get stuck in places all around your body. So that's one way. Any help with constant bloating? Oh, that's a big one. Constant bloating could be many things. It could be a symptom of a lot of things. What could help with bloating? I'd say look at what you're eating, right? What are you putting in your body? I'd say anything that is white bread, white rice, pap. You want to do a process of elimination, get rid of those things and see whether that assists with the bloating. I can tell you that I cannot eat bread. I cannot eat brown bread. I cannot eat white bread because it bloats me too, and it's very, very uncomfortable sensation. Having parasites can also cause bloating. Sometimes the bloating is caused because you have a very inefficient digestive system. So instead of eliminating everything, you want to check how many times are you having a bowel movement. You should be having a bowel movement as many times as you are eating. Because as you eat, there are peristaltic movements. There's a movement in your gut that causes that any food that's in there from the previous meal, having been digested after, say, 4 or so hours, should evacuate and come out. If you're not going to the bathroom as often as you are eating, you want to watch that. I would say to people, an average of 3 bowel movements a day is very healthy. And it shouldn't hurt. There shouldn't be too much straining. And it shouldn't be hard, right? So there we go. Oh, now the questions are here, and there are a lot of them. What do you do when you come into the knowledge of Cosmic Mother, Big Mama? Oh, what do you do when you come to the knowledge of Cosmic Mother? When you come into the knowledge of Cosmic Mother, it depends on where your knowledge is coming from. Is this a knowledge because you've heard it from me, or have you had an experience? Those are 2 totally different things. If you've come to the knowledge of Cosmic Mother through reading, through hearing, there are lots of creators who are talking about Cosmic Mother, then the next step, and if you keep coming upon videos that talk about Cosmic Mother, that's an invitation for a connection with you, right? And so you commune. And what does that look like? It does not necessarily mean there's something outward that you're doing, but you call on her. You call on her the same way as you call her Cosmic or Great Mother. You call on her. You talk to Cosmic Mother. Ask for some signs to show you that, to see that she's around. Remember, Cosmic Mother really is the one in whose womb we all sit. That's why she's called Cosmic Mother. So expect signs and symptoms. It's really part of a greater awakening to come into this knowledge from an experiential point of view. So I can talk about her all I like. You saw my face light up when you said Great Mother because, Great Mother, I experience a lot of things, So I invite you to start your own connection with her. And how you connect differs, right? When you hear Great Mother, Cosmic Mother, and you're sitting by yourself quietly and you close your eyes, what sensations are you feeling? What is it that comes to you? Do you feel this great warmth? What connection do you want to have with Great Mother? And a lot of your connection with Great Mother also has to do with what your life path and your purpose is. If your life path and purpose is to be a warrior, you might call on the aspects of Great Mother that are warrior-like. So for you, your experience of her won't be this warm, fuzzy-wuzzy, bosom where you go and bury yourself. No, your experience of her might be the warrior, the one who comes forth breathing fire, Sekhmet energy, right? The protector, the healer. So this is then where, that is why spirituality is not something that you can really learn from a book. It is something that you have to experience. So I can't come here and tell you about all my experiences of Great Mother, because then, yeah, you know what I mean? I'm inviting you, and she's inviting you to make that connection with her for yourself. What does purple beads mean spiritually? Okay, these are the kind of questions that can get us into trouble, but I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna answer you this in a way that you will understand. You see that I'm sitting here and I'm wearing this particular cloth, right? You've also seen me wear the same cloth, this one, but it's in black. And this one, a lot of you will tell you it represents, especially in Southern Africa, it represents a certain spirit, certain water spirit. What if I was to tell you that for me, it does not represent that? Right? So when you say, what do purple beads mean in spirituality? Same thing. You see me wearing these beads, different beads. For you, these beads might mean something else, or you've been told by other teachers that these beads mean X, Y, Z. What if I told you that for me, those beads mean absolutely nothing like what they are describing? This is what I mean about spirituality being a lived experience and a unique and personal experience, because our guides are not all the same. Our spirits or our ancestors are not all the same. So if I dream of a certain Mkhulu and he comes and he hands me in the dream some purple beads, my next question to him after I get them is, what are these beads for? How do you want me to wear these beads? Because clearly those beads are not just anything, but they are the way that this Mkhulu will be represented on me and the way that him and I can connect. So I have to know him and understand him and how he speaks and how he works. Do you see? So I cannot tell you, my sweetheart, what purple beads and spirituality mean, because in our African spirituality itself, the different beads can mean different things for different people. Now, if we go to Ubungoma, right, as a Sangoma, then some people will tell you that this cloth represents the Mdao spirit. But if you have a higher order calling that goes, yes, you're an initiated Sangoma, but then your calling goes beyond that, this cloth can mean something totally different. If you're being asked to work with higher order spirits, does that make sense? So I'm sorry I can't give you a specific answer, but I would say you need to explore the purple beads wherever you saw them, whoever showed them to you. That is your connection point. You need to ask, what are these beads for? What do they do? For all you know, you were shown these beads because there's some part of your body that you need to heal through beads. Because that's another thing with wearing beads. Sometimes you'll find somebody doesn't just wear beads on their wrists for anything, but it is a protection or it is for healing. You might find somebody wears a certain necklace or beads around their neck in a particular way, but it represents maybe their throat chakra needs healing, and the particular spirit or ancestor has asked them to wear that to facilitate speech, to facilitate courage, so that the throat chakra can open and this person can speak whatever it is they need to speak. Do you hear me? Some people will wear beads around the knee because they may have a joint problem or knee problem. So it's a myriad of things that are in these spiritual streets, and it would be irresponsible of me to tell you what purple beads mean, because they may mean different things to different people. And I can mislead you by telling that purple beads mean that and that and that only. Meanwhile, for you, it means something totally different. Ne? I hope I've answered your question. Okay, we've answered the Cosmic Mother one. I saw another question. We talked a bit about bloating. What if our ancestors can't or won't help us? Are they chained or did they sell us in the spirit? Your ancestors can't sell you in the spirit. If anything, you can sell your ancestors. Right? Your ancestors don't have the ability to sell you, but you have the ability to sell them. So you will have to watch the Ancestral series, because I go into great depth about what can happen that causes a blockage or that causes your ancestors not to be able to connect with you. I've spoken about it, from ancestors that have been turned against the family, to ancestors that are trapped and working for someone else, to ancestors that don't want you. I mean, I've done a whole 8-part series on the ancestors. It's on YouTube. It's African Spirituality with a K dash Nkanyezi Speaks. If you go through that series, most of your questions about the ancestors will be answered. Togos. I felt this so strongly late 2024, and then you did the teaching and I was like, this must be talking about Cosmic Mother. Let's see. What is the difference between being called and being chosen? Being called, we are all called. It's a play on words. Remember, we're using these Englishes that don't really, we interpret Englishes in different ways. Ubizo is a calling, but ubizo in the way we know it is also being chosen. So people will say the chosen ones. Well, there are characteristics to the chosen ones. What does that look like? In the whole spiritual space, there are certain ways in which certain people are being called and then chosen to do a particular work. So, for example, I am called, I have an ancestral calling upon my life, which is lineage driven, and that calling is to be a Sangoma. But within my calling of being a Sangoma, I have been chosen to move in a particular path. Does that make sense? I'm really hoping that's made sense, because if you can catch that as the example, it'll make it easier to understand what that means. There are some people who are not necessarily called into a particular spiritual path. They are just a spiritual being, which we all are, but then they are chosen for a specific and particular work with their life path. Does that make sense? I want you to just understand the nuance there. So having an ancestral calling or an ancestral gift is a calling, or ubizo. But within that, you can be called to move in a particular direction. And that call can change. I may be called to serve in a particular way for a specific amount of time, and then before you know it, they're like, part of your path is that you're going to go in this direction. You reach a certain age or a certain spiritual level, because remember, in spirituality, family, there are levels to spirituality, right? There are levels to spirituality, right? And so based on whatever level that you are at, and that level is again revealed to you as you are moving along your life path. You may be at a level in the beginning where, you're just working with people, you're healing people, and then you are called to be a gobela. That is why not everybody is called to have initiates and to initiate people. Just because I'm a Sangoma, it is not automatic that I should be initiating people, even though I know how to do it as part of my general training. Because remember, when you go to initiation school, you're like an apprentice. So everything your gobela does, everything your siblings who are older than you are doing, they are doing with you right along there, and you also take part. So the fact that I know the processes and the steps of initiating somebody does not necessarily mean that I am called to be a gobela or to be a baba or whatever. I'm still a Sangoma, but it may not be my calling to initiate people. Do you understand? I initiated a Sangoma, like I said, but I am called along a particular path, which for many people, when they look, they may say, but how does this have anything to do with Ubungoma? Well, everything. Because Ubungoma was the portal, or the opening of the portal, which then leads me from one grade to the next grade to the next grade as I grow spiritually. And as you grow spiritually, I want to tell you, your responsibilities increase and your responsibilities also shift based on where you are being called. Get? I hope I have clarified that. So I'm wondering if I can heal this naturally. I'm wondering what you're talking about now, Kayla. I don't remember what you asked about. I don't know. Did you ask about the bloating or did you ask about the eczema? Well, if you say naturally, I don't know what you mean, because I just gave all natural remedies, which is I'm big on that. I'm big on nature and food as medicine. Most of the things that are wrong or in dis-ease in our body is because of the things that we are consuming. So if you start taking part or taking a sort of a good look at the things that you are putting into your body and putting on your skin and putting in your hair, because your pores eat, your skin drinks, it absorbs. So you need to look at all those aspects to see where are the toxins coming in, where are the things that don't agree with my body coming in, and then you work with that. That's the natural and most holistic way of healing yourself, instead of taking things or putting things that only deal with the symptom. Everything we do that is from within. Your health really comes from within. If your gut is healthy, if your liver is healthy, if your kidneys are healthy, then that will show on your outward appearance. Make sense? Okay. Good morning, Gogo. Okay, we've already talked about the eczema. That was Kayla. Kayla, I hope I've answered you more fully now. Somebody said how to get unstuck. Unstuck how? Unstuck how? I did a video that's on here where I talked about gratitude and how a lot of people are stuck because of ingratitude. That's one. Being stuck can come from many different things. That's why a lot of people you don't want to consult, but I can tell you to be in gratitude all you like, but you might be stuck because there's some ancestors over there who are asleep and who need to be energized and awakened. You might be stuck not because of ingratitude, and I'm telling you you're stuck because of gratitude. It's just one of the ways you get stuck. But you might be stuck because you have self-limiting beliefs, right? You self-sabotage. You have this narrative in your subconscious, which, by the way, runs 90% of your life. And you have this narrative that keeps telling you that you're a failure, you're not worthy. And that narrative is so powerful that you will do behaviors that keep you stuck. So it becomes very important to consult so we can figure out, why are you stuck? Is this stuckedness coming from the spiritual realm? Because if that's the case, then we deal it there. If your being stuck is coming from your subconscious programming, then we deal with it there. There are many reasons you could be stuck. It could be traumatic events that happen in your life, which you think are so unrelated to how you're living now. But you believe you me, when you have trauma in your body, that can literally block every aspect of your life. So there's a lot, right? You see already, I've just counted 3. There are many, many more reasons why you could be stuck. The only way to find out is if you do a consultation, and there it will be revealed clearly why you're stuck. And then the prescription is going to be an accurate prescription for that particular issue, right? If your ancestors are alive and well, but you're the one who's self-sabotaging, it doesn't help for me to say, okay, you know what? We need to do a 7-day ancestral elevation to wake up the ancestors. Because they'll be like, dude, we're already awake. What you mean? It's this kid. Deal with this kid. His mind is not right. So yeah, it's like that. It's the yeah, we've talked about what if our ancestors stuck. We've talked about bloating, color purple, cosmic mother. What else? Guys, ask the questions. Basil, sage, mint. I was called here. I know that much. This is stuff I discussed in the past with my friends. Well, Trisel Gardens, hello. I have not seen you before. Togoza, how are you? Greetings, and you're writing some of my favorites here. Basil, sage, mint. Yes, lots of healing properties there. So let's see what else is there. Family, please do ask questions. Someone says, I love you, Queen. I love you back. I love you so. Let's see. Are our spiritual team knowledgeable enough to guide us in this life, or can they be learning? When you say your spiritual team, are you talking about these higher intelligence spirits of great intelligence who know the past, the future, the everything in the one moment? So I don't know that question. Are they in training? No. You're in training. You're in training. Their job is to guide you. If you avail yourself, if you make yourself available to them, and you listen, and you move with respect and reverence for them, they're not in any sort of training. Now, they may have issues, especially the bloodline. Let's talk about the bloodline ancestors especially. And if you can go watch the Ancestral series, I talk a lot about the bloodline ancestors because really that's where we start fundamentally, right there. That is where we start in terms of their whole spirituality and spiritual life, because your bloodline ancestors were once human. They're the most relatable when it comes to communication. They are also your first line of defense, which is why we need to take care of them. And we take care of them through various ways, right? So they were once human, yes, but they are now spirits of high intelligence who, when all else is well, are extremely powerful. They're your best allies, right? So I hope I've answered that. When you talk about spirit guides, people like to use that term. It's a very general term that involves a whole bunch. And the Ancestral series will teach you the different types of spirits that are out there that fall under the umbrella of spirit guides. Someone says, Gogo, what does it mean to see 7 planets aligned, but you see them as human skulls? So how do you know they're planets if you're seeing them as human skulls? Right? What makes you say they're planets if you see them as human skulls? Right? That's the first question. Greetings, Mama. Can you give me a word today? Pindi wants a word. Pindi, what you're asking me to do is to breach things, because now I'm getting downloads on your whole life, and really, oh, Pindi, all I can say to you is walk with confidence. You have everything it takes to do the things that you're supposed to be doing. Stop procrastinating. Oh, Pindi, don't do this. Piwe. Guys, don't do this. I don't do that type of thing. I'm not allowed to. Let's move on. They think they've won because they can spy in on us. I don't know who we're talking about there, or who we're on. Let me see. Okay. I'm still looking for questions, family. I'm still looking for questions. Love you, Piwe. But yeah, that was your word. Let me see. Family. Where I from? Where I from? I'm from Africa. You know, this question always amuses me. And family, I really need to explain why that question for me, you will always get the answer, I am from Africa. I am from Africa because Africa is in me, right? I identify with all melanated beings because I have come to the knowledge that we are all one and that we are all united, whether we like it or not, whether we like to admit it or not, but cosmically we are all connected. So where do I come from? I literally will say I come from Africa, in the sense that I can be anywhere where there are melanated beings and I will be just fine. I can be in America, I can be in China, I can be in Japan. If they are melanated beings, I will be just fine. That's why I say Africa. I come from Africa because Africa is in me. For me, Africa is not a geographical location. Yes, it exists, it's there, it's the motherland. It is where all of us, our spiritual umbilical stump is buried. All of us, our spiritual umbilical stump links us there. But the beauty of that is we have the ability to be anywhere on this entire planet. You know why? Because we were the first humans and we existed for thousands of years on our own as melanated beings across this entire planet. We populated this entire planet. So home for me is the world, is the earth, is Gaia. And nobody can tell me otherwise, because that is something I know for fact. So have at it. So that's where I'm from, Godman, which means you're a king. Togos. What else? So, do I see any more questions? This is nice. Sometimes I love the question times because, it just allows me to ad-lib and just allow spirit to take us where spirit. What do you know about Auroria? Chidiso. Auroria? Don't know. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but it's not saying anything to me. I felt so strongly since late 2024. Okay, I've seen this before. Please ask more questions, family. Otherwise, we'll call it a night and then we'll do our test to see if this thing will get downloaded. If it doesn't, you guys are going to have to come to lives on YouTube because, wow. You see how they're messing us up with this whole back and forth with this tickety talk. I'm just done. Okay, my daughter said something similar last night, that maybe she feels stuck because she might be... you didn't finish. Oh, here it is. What is the meaning when the ancestors give you your kids in dreams before you conceive? Beautiful. It doesn't mean anything other than just that, right? Because everything is born in the spiritual realm, goddess, right? Ndlovukazi, everything is born in the spiritual realm. Before you came into being, you were over there in that spiritual realm before you came. And the way you come is through a portal, and the portal is with your mother. So that they're showing you who's in coming, that's so beautiful. That's just so beautiful. That is so powerful. And not a lot of people have that happen for them, right? It may also mean that, you are going to bring forth some really powerful spirits. If you're being shown them, it means also that you can do the necessary preparation for them. And by that, I mean the choice of the assistant who will assist you to bring them in, right? That's where you have to be fully conscious of your partner or partners if you are not in any sort of union. so that you ensure that these spirits that you're being shown are brought in by you merging your lineage with the right or acceptable or suitable lineage. Very important. Yeah? Sometimes our ancestors reject certain lineages because they are dark lineages where a lot of dark things happen. So then what you'll find is you might get pregnant but lose them one after another, keep losing them, and you wonder why is something wrong with my womb. And when you check, you get told that no, it's because you keep mingling with the wrong lineage, and your ancestors, particularly if they are of royalty, you can't just be with anybody and produce fruit. They won't have it. Because remember, like I said, there are spirits of high intelligence who already see the future before you even conceive of it in your mind. Right? They know things you don't know. They see things you don't see. They hear things you don't hear. So, I hope I've answered that. Grand rising, grand rising. Thank you, Tristel. Thank you, Divine Goddess. Isililo sikaNomkhubulwane this year, it's always in the same place. So Isililo sikaNomkhubulwane, which is the lamentation of our set, is one of the ceremonies we have. It is our third cardinal point on the African calendar. Every quarter, we go to a sacred site or a portal to do certain rituals in honor of the Neteru and to connect, align, and heal ourselves in the process. Most of the places we go, there is an energy vortex there. An energy vortex is where the electromagnetic energy of Earth is very, very strong. And some of these are real portals, like in Zaluyelanga, where we know that the Anunnaki landed there, right? These are our stellar ancestors, right? So, yeah, this year is going to be the same place. The posters will be coming out soon. It's going to be Emangwaneni, right? Which is in Bergville. Towards. I think that is... Oh, here we go. My grandfather also named me in the dream in which he gave me to my grandfather. Any significance? My grandfather also named me in the dream in which he gave me to my grandfather. I don't understand. I really don't understand. In which he gave you to your grandfather. I'm lost there. Yeah, but the naming can happen, right? It's the same with those of us who have an ancestral calling. Most of us get our name in a dream, So that's not anything new, but it's beautiful nonetheless. It's just there's a part I don't quite understand. Gogo, does someone have to meet, but the enemies are fighting? There's someone I have to meet, but the enemies are fighting. Not quite understanding what that means. So, yeah. I don't quite get it. Thokoza Mkhulu sivikela kanjani izinkanyezi abantwana bethu. I take it you mean like how do we protect our children and how do we protect our children's star, which is basically how do you protect your children's destiny, right? Maybe you're asking because you watched the one about destiny swapping. This is a common problem, and I've said it before that a lot of parents are busy consulting, getting protection for themselves, getting amulets, getting ukutachwa with imiti to protect themselves, and they forget about their kids. If somebody wants to come for you and they can't get to you, where do you think they're going to go next? They're going to go to intandokazi yako. And who's that? your children, right? If they want to hit you where it hurts the most, they'll go for your kids. So yes, people should be out there protecting their children. There are many ways to protect children. And also keeping your home cleansed and protected, because that is where your children live and you live. So you can start by making sure that your home is cleansed and protected, right? And the first port of call for protecting your kids is, and people miss this step when their children are born, is you give them back to the ancestors. You tell the ancestors and you call the ancestors of these children. If it's mother's and father's side, if you're married, you call both sides to say, here are your offspring. I'm entrusting them to you because you see where I cannot see. You hear what I cannot hear. And as they come and go, you protect them. That's the first line. And then there are other ways to protect children. There are things like ivimbela, especially when they're babies. Ivimbela is very simple to use. You block the crown, you block the third eye with it, you rub it under their feet, you rub it. All these are spiritual portals. So if you want to protect your children from spiritual attacks, then you close off those portals. Here, you close here, you close the third eye, you close here, and you put under the feet and behind the knees. Right? So there we go. I've given you a tip. Go and get Vimbela. And for kids, depending on their age, I'd stay with Vimbela white, Vimbela yellow. Vimbela red and black, I normally recommend for older people. Yeah. And if you're not, if you're out in the West, I have Vimbela. So you can always message me. My number is sitting there on a video that is pinned. And I can get some Vimbela out to you. But please do protect the kids. It's very important. Do I, the remaining one, have to do ritual for the other two? I don't quite understand this question. Guys, when you write your questions, make them full. Because otherwise, do you have classes in demonology? No. I don't have classes in anything that is associated with Abelumbi. Let's see what else is there. Guys, I think I've basically answered questions. Oh, here. Gogo, I was meant to be a triplet. Oh, here we go, Kayla. Gogo, I was meant to be a triplet, but my mother had a miscarriage and lost the other two. And you stayed? Very interesting. Because that means that when you do any ritual, you have to incorporate them. Because they're a part of you. You shared womb space. You were conceived at the same time. So it's like a 3-in-1, 1-in-3. You're like a little trinity. So you can't leave them out. Certainly you have to always remember that. And you have to remember that they are probably your greatest ancestors and your greatest guides beyond your mother and your father. If they have transitioned. If they are still in this part of the world, those two, they are your greatest ancestors. So you want to make sure that you take good care of them. Obviously, they are what we call manono or baby spirits in that sense. So you want to be able to ritual around that and make sure sometimes, look, people do these things differently. But I know of an identical twin who literally, when she buys something special for herself, she buys for her twin. Is that crazy? No, it's not. Because it's an acknowledgement that you are a part of me, although you are no longer in the physical, but you and I are connected. And she tells some really interesting stories about her life with her ancestor twin. Powerful, powerful stuff. So, yeah, definitely. So, what else? Mawande, siyabonga. Family, there's so many of you, but so few questions. Some of you guys are just enjoying listening, huh? I miss you too. Stella, why you miss me? I'm here though. Go and find me on the YouTube. Gogo, how do I get a necklace same as the same as my ring? You talking about the ankh? Well, the thing is, the fact that you call it a necklace means you don't know what it means and what it's for. So why do you want to get something whose meaning you don't know? Why don't you do your homework and research what the ankh is? In fact, I've done a video right here on TikTok that talks about the ankh, right? And I spell it like it is, and I remove the patriarchal aspects of it because people like to lie to us. Even in the so-called African spiritual space, people still want to perpetuate patriarchy. This is a womb. Here's the womb. These are the fallopian tubes. This is the vaginal canal, the VJJ canal. Okay? You have them telling you, yes, it is a symbol of life. Definitely the symbol of life. Life comes from the womb. But they will tell you that this is a womb, these are the children, and this is a pee-pee. Nonsense. Just look at the diagram of the uterus and you tell me that this is not a uterus. Great mother. Amen. Oh, go have one, but imali. So if ngimthengela zizogqokwa ubani. Oh, so brown girl, you know what this is. So you didn't need a tutorial on the ankh. Okay, it's called an ankh. Again, how can you forget the name? That's why I thought you didn't know what it was. Which ankh are you looking for? Because the ankh, the basic ankh, there's one behind me right there. I have ankhs everywhere because great mother, you know me. I'm a fanatic. If you go on Facebook, Great Empire of Kemet page, you look for Thabo Malesa. He has ankhs. He has them in necklaces. He has them in rings. This particular ring you're not going to get in South Africa. There was a time I actually did a special edition and I brought over about 60 of them. And people bought them before I even brought them. So all I needed to do was deliver them to their particular owners. So, yeah, I mean, you can get ankhs everywhere, anywhere, really. This great awakening has made it such that the ankh is something you can get literally anywhere and everywhere. Yeah. But remember, with all your spiritual items, when you get them, please cleanse them. Simple cleanse. Drop it in some sea salt water, right? Make some sea salt water. Meaning get sea salt or grof salt, dissolve it in water, put it in there, and then take it. It deactivates any energies. These are very powerful symbols, guys. And so there's a possibility that when vendors have them lying around, they can draw certain energies that have nothing to do with you, and so you don't want them. So all your spiritual items need to be cleansed before you put them on your body. Always remember that. Ne? Runewa thokoza ngisho ukuthi nginewele lona liyindoda so izimpahla zizogqokwa ubani. No, nobody needs to wear them. And when I say buy something nice, I'm not necessarily talking about clothes, Kehl. You know what I mean? It's not something that you do every time, but say on a birthday. Because remember, this person would have been born the same day as you. On a birthday, get something, you know, a small something, and celebrate your birthday together, you know. And by together, I don't mean that you sit in a restaurant now and pretend to be talking to someone who's not there. People will take you back, they will tie you up and take you to the to what is that place where people go who are to Lulu? No, what I'm saying is you can do a small linyana latte for him, you know. Put a small cupcake there, light a candle, you know, whatever your favorite drink is, pour it for him too. That's what I mean, is you create a space for him. So that's what I mean by doing nice things. Yeah, but I mean, people do what they like. Like she buys for her twin and just has them there, you know. Not all the time, though. You don't want to, because guys, you use your wisdom and you use your inner guidance. There's no point in having a whole trunk full of clothes that you've just been accumulating over the years, because every time you buy clothes, you buy for your soul twin, for your ancestral twin. No, that's not what I mean. But I do mean that, from time to time, on special occasions, celebrate with them, By the way, I talk like this because I have a set of identical twin girls myself. So there's a lot of mysteries about twinning and about multiples that I've come to understand through observing my identical twins. So, injal. Yeah, I mean, Tandega, you're asking a question that you already know. Is Trito. So the significance, Shongololo, I don't know, but definitely into Twane, especially if you can't get rid of them. Impugane, there's a certain type of fly that, you swat it, you try to kill it, but then you see it's back there. Usually it's Istrito, or it is monitoring spirits. I should do a teaching on monitoring spirits so that you guys really know what that is. Because a lot of you think monitoring spirits are human beings. No, people use animals. People can use your pets as monitoring spirits. They can place a spirit in your own dog, in your own cat, so that it monitors you and reports back to them. So the spirit resides in your dog throughout the day, listening to your conversations and about the specific things that it wants to know about you. The spirit is listening. And then it exits your dog and goes and tells the person, whoever sent it, what's been going on in your family, and then comes back to monitor you again. So I think maybe a full teaching on monitoring spirits will assist you guys to understand. I always say, if you see a stray fly, sometimes you see a fly in the middle of winter, weird things like that. Or you see those little geckos or lizards that just sit on a wall in your house, and this thing just sits there in your bedroom or somewhere. Hack, kill it. Isuse, monitoring spirits. Because you'll be surprised to find that whoever it is that's monitoring you, if there's someone who's kind of close-ish to you, they'll know your every move. They will know what you're planning. And then they can play interference. Block it. That's really why they monitor you, is so that they know what your next move is going to be. They know what your next big plan is going to be. And then they can come in there and, put a wedge in it so it doesn't happen. Yeah? So just understand, the monitoring spirit thing is real. It's not human beings walking around. That would be easy to identify, a monitoring spirit. Somebody lurking behind your door. It's easy. But no, they send spirits. Sometimes birds. Sometimes, those pigeons that just fly around. You see a pigeon that it won't go. This pigeon, and it shows up and just sits there on your roof or sits by your office window. And you're busy, yapping. It's just there's a spirit in the pigeon. The pigeon is not the spirit. And then that spirit, because spirit is umoya, right? That spirit will then go back to report where it came from. So when you get rid of the pigeon, or you get rid of the fly, or you get rid of that small lizard, or then what you're doing is you're getting rid of the host, because spirits need a host, right? It can't just come and look around in your house. It needs a host. So the host is going to be either your pet, the fly, the gecko, whatever else. Towards. Okay, family. You know what, family? Awu siyabonga bathi ngimuhle. Awu siyabonga. Thank you. Now umuhle angikubonisisi kahle, but umoya wakho muhle. Beauty comes from within, guys. If you have a beautiful soul, that's all that matters. I know people who are physically, aesthetically good looking, but pilo empe. What in pilo empe? Hard-hearted. All right, family, you know what? I think we've spent a good amount of time together. Like I said, do go and follow on YouTube. There's a ton of teachings there, guys. a ton, especially around ancestral things. I shame. There's a whole series. And I keep getting downloads on it. And so when they come, the series was supposed to have 3 parts. It now has 8. Is it 8? I think 8 or 7. So yeah, they keep coming with more and more. And I think it's teaching into the current time that we're in. It's teaching into the contemporary times and the issues and the problems that people are facing about that ancestor. Remember, your ancestors are calling. They want to be elevated and innovated, because without them, we're not going to win this war for our land back, our economy, and to defeat Abelumbi. It's not going to happen without them. We won't be able to pull it off by ourselves. And so they are assisting us by showing us how to do the right things to innovate them so that they are strong enough to assist us. Right? They will fight the spiritual battle that needs to be fought, and then we can finish it off here. Ne? So on that note, I love you so much, family. It's so good to be back here and to see familiar faces and new faces as well. You're always welcome here. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you all. Ne? Does one have to wait for a signal from Amadlozi to cleanse them? Oh, the questions keep coming. Most times they indicate when things are not okay. Most times they indicate when things are not okay. If it's not through a dream, then it's going to be through things in your own life going a bit like this. When you consult, then we see why things are going like this. Then they have caught your attention. Then we figure out, okay, they want to be cleansed. So they again are the ones who will show very clearly how it is they want to be cleansed. Not everybody wants to be cleansed in the same way. You know, some people don't even want there to be a sacrifice, you know, like a chicken or a goat or a cow. Some don't want that at all. But some will ask for one of those. So it's always very important, once you think of, not even think, but once you see that there's a possibility that there's a cleansing that's required, to then start to pasha and ask who wants the cleanse and what exactly is going on. And if you can't figure it out, then you consult. That is the surefire way of getting your answers, so that you do the right thing. Because if you don't do it correctly, you stand the risk of aggravating the situation. So if it's being blocked, you just make things worse. If it's, usually they show that something is wrong by kind of causing mayhem in your life, not because they want to be mean to you, but because they're trying to call your attention to a spiritual problem that needs fixing. So I always tell people this, because I get very sad when people say, oh, my ancestors, these ancestors are mean. They blocked everything. They shut everything down. The first question I always ask is, but are you listening though? Because before they start shutting everything down, you get a lot of signals like, hey, we're here. Want to talk to you. Hey, we're here. And if you're ignoring them, then they have to shake. Hey. And then if you're still ignoring them, then they have to get something and hit you over the head. Then you say they're mean, but they're not. They've been trying to talk to you. You just weren't tuned in. Part of being spiritually awakened is always to be in tune. That is why I always say minimize the distractions in your life so that your ancestors and your guides can communicate with you. Right now, in the times we're living, family, there is no greater communication that you need than from the spiritual realm. Trust me. It's hard out there, and it's going to get worse before it gets better for Bagwantu. So if you are not connected and constantly and continuously tuning in, life here can become unbearable. Right? So spirituality is a lived experience. We don't just talk about it. You just don't go to the river and you do a little ritual and you dust and you're like, good, that's what they asked for. I'm done. I'm going to go about living my life the way I was living. you will soon learn the hard way that doesn't work. Yeah. In spirituality, we don't do things out of obligation. We do things from the heart space, and we stay connected with the heart space and with our guides and our ancestors, which means that your life has to transform. Your life has to change. And if it's not changing and shifting, but you can do a billion rituals and nothing will change and shift in your life. Yeah? We know the answer to that. No, you can't go to anybody. I mean, you've heard people talk about you have to wait. You can't just go to anybody to Twasa. Because first and foremost, your ancestors have to lead you to the person who's going to do the work to assist them to align with you. Right? So they choose where you're going to go. You don't have a say-so. I know people who see all sorts of things on the social, like, oh, this would be a nice go-go to Twasa with. But if your ancestors don't want that, things won't work. Right? On the other hand, you have some pretty relaxed ancestors. Most times, if there's an affinity for someone within you, that in itself could be a sign that your ancestors approve that person. Right? Then you phahla and you ask for confirmation that this person I'm seeing, I keep seeing this person. I keep running into them. You know, there's an energy about them that is. Then you phahla and you talk to them to confirm, is this okay for me to do this with this person? Right? And you cannot just get up on your own to go in Twasa. And there is such a thing as going to initiation school too soon. That is why most times I say sit, wait. When the time comes, they will show clear signs that it is time to go and this is where you're going. But most of you don't get to that stage because you're too much in a hurry. That's why you can go to initiation school and come out, and then you come to a consultation with someone like you and you say, and I say, yeah, you've got ancestral spirits. You say, yeah, but I Twasa'd. And I'm like, you did? From what I'm seeing, no, you didn't. Because you went in too early. So it's as though you didn't do anything. Does that mean you have to do it again? Not all aspects of it, but certain aspects of it you would have to go and do again. Because the alignment didn't happen properly. Because when you're sitting before me, I'm seeing spirits that are still going, I wish she would. I wish she would go and do this. We've been waiting. And you're busy telling me, no, I came out of initiation school a month ago. And I'm like, huh? Really? So, on that note, family, I'm going to go. I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Stay in deep gratitude. We are here. We are alive. We're breathing in and out. We're able to interact with one another. Whatever else is going on in your life, that fact that you are alive is reason enough to be grateful. And then find other reasons in your day as you go through your day to stay in that high vibrational space of gratitude and see if your life doesn't transform. So we'll see.